going to do a review of the brand new Ant-Man uniform for the movie release. Let's get right into it. Jump into skill preview. First of all, the obvious improvement right off the bat is it adds more iframes for Ant-Man, and he was already the king of iframing, for a long time. His fourth skill, it lasted so long that for a long time in the game, it was the longest iframe in Future Fight for a while back in the day. So adding more iframes is just even cooler. Let's start looking at his first skill. So first skill, not an iframe. It's the only one that's not now. And it's single target. Looks like the debuff will hit multi-target. Okay. So it really just depends. Looking at the targeting of it is what I'm looking at right now. So it will hit more than one target, but it's it's inconsistent. It seems kind of inconsistent. So just as a FYI. All right, now 2. He's got a little bit of a wind up where it looks like he's not protected. Yeah, when he crouches at first, I don't see the ignore targeting right off. See that? It doesn't start until he's all the way shrank. Until he's little. Till he's all the way down. That doesn't appear. Now, let me see if he can move on the tail end when he lands. Okay, there's a tiny, fraction, maybe half a second, where he does do the superhero landing. I mean, it looks cool, but it's really annoying mechanically. So he does do the superhero landing at the end, where he is rooted for just a split second. But for World Boss and probably Shadowland, that's long enough to get zinged. Even just a 1/10 of a second, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you can really get nailed. As I'm sure you guys know. So it's just a brief fraction of a second, but it does it's interesting. So you'll want to memorize the skill animation and be ready to chain that right into another skill, right? Okay, third skill. Partial iframe. All right, let's go look at this here. The protection starts right off the bat, so that's nice. There's no wind up. But it does end right as he lands on the ground while he's still coming back to normal size. Let's see if he can move. Nope. So he's rooted in place while he's shrinking back to normal size. So again, 3 is something you're going to want to chain into another skill. Cancel the tail end of it. Like right when he lands. Yeah. So that'll be another one. You want to memorize the animation. All right, fourth skill historically has always been his best. And it's still excellent. So no wind. He's protected on the wind up. There is a wind up, but he's protected on it. Wait, did I just see a little gap? Whoa! Wait a minute. No. Okay, we'll have to see. Hang on a second. Let me look at this. The text on this skill. 4. Yeah, there's no protection. So, man. All right, so that's gonna be interesting, you guys. If that little gap, watch this, protected, not protected, protected. So if that little gap actually allows you to be targeted, that's gonna be not cool. That would be a real shame. It just really kind of ruins the skill, because it'd be pointless to cancel, right? After 2 seconds, 1 second, less than 2. After just the wind up before he even does damage, there's no point in canceling that. Well, it's pointless to even use that skill if you cancel it right then. So that's going to be really interesting to see. So something to be aware of there in your playtesting. Watch that 4th skill. Let's turn on the AI, because I really want to see this, because that would be a major problem. It would just be a major, like, missed opportunity, flaw, in the skill, where it really doesn't have to be. So let's watch this. Okay, that time it seemed safe. Okay. Let these guys start shooting. Okay, it looks like it's okay. Even though there's no reticle, the ignore targeting reticle. It looks like he's alright. Okay, I was gonna say, that would be a serious flaw in the skill. Alright. So, that makes me feel a lot better. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Much better. Okay. Then 5th skill, iframe, and then it's over very quickly, because the whole point is to just drop those vehicles and summon the ant. Okay, because he gets that ant summon. Look at him go. Go, Anthony! Do things! So that's cool that, like, it's very short iframe, but you can move the instant it's done. So that'll be just fine for the rotation. Where's the ant? There he is. That's kind of cool. So you can stack the DPS, right? So you'd maybe open with 5 and then just go right into 4. Or something along those lines, So maybe start with a buff, then into 5 and right into 4. Something along those lines, right? So make sure he's buffed before you do 5, because then the summon hopefully will get that damage buff, and then you're good to go. Five, 4. And his cooldowns are really short, so chaining his skills is going to be a piece of cake. So overall, that's like a really nice... overall, it just feels better to play him. It looks like, he definitely has more damage. And there's more variety in his skills. Skill animations look cool. Overall, I'd say of all the Ant-Man uniforms, I mean, this is definitely the one to get. If you don't have any already, this is the one to buy for sure. If you do have some already, is it worth upgrading? I would say yes, depending on whether you've invested in Ant-Man already. Now, here's the thing with Ant-Man that I do want to cover is now that he has a tier 3 available, now that he can be upgraded to tier 3, he's one of the characters in the game that can. Ant-Man at this point is an investment for down the road. And here's why. His tier 2 passive is cool, but it's just so. You know, it gives him the 87% guaranteed dodge. So that is nice, but it's very one-dimensional. You know, it's a great buff, but it's only one buff, right? So he's, you know, at tier 2, he's still going to be, if you build him for dodge and like, or, you know, you make sure you take advantage of that and then give him like damage ISOs and like a damage obelisk, you know, he's still going to be all right. He's still going to be okay. You know, probably not incredible, but he's good, you know, viable. But here's where it really gets good. All right. If you haven't really looked at this yet, his tier 3 passive is really impressive, like really impressive. Right off the bat, debuffing enemies decreases all their speeds by 30%. So if you think about that, that decreases attack speed as well. So the speed at which your enemy is able to crank out their damage per second is nerfed by almost 1/3, which can really add up. You know, that can actually really be nice. So that's really cool. A 2-second stun, which is great. Just that there is a stun there. And it strips their defenses down to up to 30%. It stacks twice. So that's really nice. And it lasts for 5 seconds. So, you know, decreasing the defense, it's kind of like ignore defense there, right? Which is going to increase his base, you know, damage. That's really going to be helpful. And then here's where it gets just amazing, right? 10 seconds of invincibility. 10. Invincible for 10 seconds. In Future Fight, that is an eternity. That's a long time. Just incredible. And then chance to penetrate, super armor, barrier, shield, damage immunity, and invincibility that lasts 10 seconds. So that's incredible. That's going to really increase his viability for multiple game modes. And then last but not least, 80% ignore dodge. So that synergizes perfectly with the previous buff, that penetrate buff. If he's able to penetrate invincibility and ignore 80% dodge, it's going to be really hard to avoid taking damage from him. And then he gets the decrease, you know, 30% reduction in your defense. And meanwhile, oh yeah, he's invincible. So at tier 3, Ant-Man could, you know, that on paper there, that looks really good. So I feel like at this point, Ant-Man, you know, the the assessment for Ant-Man right now is that he'd be an investment for the future. You may or may not see immediate return on investment at tier 2, but tier 3 looking pretty darn good. So there's your detailed review on the current state of Ant-Man. Okay,